in Ohio, in the 12th district, still too close to call.
Republican Troy Balderson and Democrat Danny O'Connor separated by less than a point.
In an op-ed titled "The Press Isn't the Enemy, It Is the Protector," the Notre Dame professor is making the comparison that journalists are just like soldiers.
To compare the two does a disservice to our service members and those men and women who signed up to protect the nation.
A manhunt is underway right now after two officers are ambushed at a red light.
Happened at 8:30 on National Night Out, while cops in Camden are at 4 different locations trying to build community trust.
According to economists, the upper middle class is actually growing, but according to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, it is a thing of the past.
I think that politically, this upper middle class doesn't exist anymore.
Legend Jim Brown taking a stand for the national anthem, saying you will never see him kneel. So what does Super Bowl winning coach Tony Dungy think about that?
I would stand because I personally think that's the way to go.
Just waiting on you, and I'll set it off for a little kiss. It's all it takes to get me lit. And I'll be like a bottle rocket flying, every move striking like a lightning.
Those are the guys who actually figure out what to put on television from our control room, our high-def control room downstairs here at the world headquarters Fox News Channel. Each and every day, they look at all those television screens and they figure out, okay, what's the best picture right now? They've decided this one is. Thank you.
Good thing we don't have that job. Could you imagine if we ran the show?
All those buttons?
I really feel like I'm making most of the decisions.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Thank you.
That's what they do. They try to make you feel that way.
Thank you very much. And by the way, they start with color bars. They all walk in with color bars, and they just fill up that whole thing.
What
They
does
should
that
get paid
mean?
more for
Color bars is where we start with a 3-hour show, and little by little, we cover it with stuff.
For the people who want to know what color bars look like, we actually have them on the switcher, and if we could have the technical director just push the button for a second. That's what they look like.
That's what we get. When they walk in, that's what they have. And they just got to fill it up with stuff.
They got to figure out how to start the day.
Yes.
It's so true. They deserve to be called out. They are wonderful at their jobs, and we are so grateful for them.
So they are deciding to start with us. We thank them very much. In the meantime, 8:02 and a Fox News alert.
Yeah, happy Wednesday. We call it Winning Wednesday. So thank you for joining us. We do start with a Fox News alert, and all eyes are on this. The House special election in Ohio. It is still too close to call at this very hour.
But right now, President Trump's pick, that man right there he appeared with in Ohio, is inching closer to victory. Results in 4 other state primaries. So we've got for you this morning.
And our producers have picked Griff Jenkins to update us on what happened last night. Hey, Griff.
Good morning. No winner yet in Ohio, guys. The president's given it to his candidate, but it is too close to call. Republican Troy Balderson and Democrat Danny O'Connor are separated by less than 1 point. Balderson leading by just over 1,700 votes.
America is on the right path, and we're going to keep it going that way.
We made our case for change. We're going to make that case tomorrow. We're not stopping now.
Some 8,000 provincial and absentee ballots have yet to be tallied. Election officials begin counting those on August 18th. Now grab Toto, we're going to Kansas in the Republican primary for governor. Also too close to call. President Trump's pick of Secretary of State Chris Kobach with a razor-thin lead against incumbent Governor Jeff Colyer. That would be a major primary upset. Now, if we move over to Michigan, the president's primary picks for governor and Senate both won. President Trump tweeting congratulations to Attorney General Bill Schuette, who won the gubernatorial primary. President predicting a big win in November for him and a return of car companies if Schuette wins. And in the Senate race, Iraq War veteran John James, who the president calls a future star of the Republican Party, will face Democrat incumbent Debbie Stabenow. Finally, in the Show Me state, the Attorney General showing strong. The president's last tweet of the night. Congratulations to Josh Hawley on your big Senate primary win in Missouri. I look forward to working with you toward a big win in November. We need you in Washington. Hawley faces incumbent Democrat Claire McCaskill in November in one of the most contested Senate races. So will the wave be red or blue, guys? Anybody's guess. There's 14 primaries left before November.
All right, Griff, thank you very much. So even though 100% of the precincts have reported in the 12th District of Ohio, it's all coming down to the provisional ballots. The big question is who was able to motivate people to do the early voting? Would it be Danny O'Connor, the Democrat, or Troy Balderson, who leads by just a little bit, as you can see right there?
This should not have even been a close race. You look at that district, since 1940, I believe, other than one time, it has gone blue.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a reminder, I think, Brian, it should set off alarm bells, even if he pulls through the finish line, that you can't just have the Trump name next to you. You've got to be a good candidate. You need to be someone that connects with the people.
Right. In this case, the Trump name is one maybe that saved him. But in most cases, these candidates are going to have to run hard. There is no layups in this election cycle. It seems as though the Republicans are running about a 5-point deficit everywhere. Think about it. The Democrats almost won in Georgia, almost won in Montana, almost won in South Carolina. But money came in and the seats were saved.
Right.
They did lose that Pennsylvania 12th district, and looks like they almost won this one. But in the end, it's not going to get them the majority. They have to pull out victories, not get close.
But the strategy was in this particular 12th district of Ohio was for this candidate, Danny O'Connor, to run essentially as a moderate. He did not demonize Trump or the Trump voters. And in fact, the Republicans were trying to demonize Nancy Pelosi and said, OK, Danny O'Connor, if you win, would you vote for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker? And he kind of waffled on it for a little while and eventually said, I will support whoever the leadership is. So they were trying to nationalize her with him. And right now he is losing by a little bit, but still 3,300 ballots to be counted.
But nobody thinks that he ran as a liberal or a socialist. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez believes she won that district in New York because she's a socialist and a liberal. No one really wanted her in that district because he had to propose himself as a moderate. It makes you wonder if her message is resonating. I'll tell you what, she's certainly getting a lot of fame, and we're learning more about her.
Yeah, and she's got some ideas about saving America. Here's what she said most recently.
A lot of these folks were in their political heyday in third way 90s politics. And they were campaigning and they were really kind of connected most to an electorate when they were fighting for these seats, when they got these seats, when they were campaigning most, when we had more of an American middle class. And so I think that politically, this like upper middle class is probably more moderate. But that upper middle class doesn't exist anymore in America.
Well, that's the problem. Keep in mind, she in the past has said, look, the reason unemployment is so low is because people have 2 or 3 jobs and they're working 70 or 80 hours per week, which a number of fact finders found as a pants on fire lie. But when you look at what she just said, that the upper middle class is gone, look at this. In 1979, it was at 12.9%, if we could put up the graphic. And today, the middle class has grown, as you can see, more than double that number from that many years ago.
She also went out of her way to put down Democrats. Joe Manchin in a tough fight and Senator Menendez in a tough fight, Democrats in their states. She says, we need better champions for the working class. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. If you're a Democrat, you're like, wow, I lost my fastball. Time has passed me by, and I'm not good for the working class.
Yeah.
Thanks for being in my corner.
There are 2 Democratic parties right now that we're seeing. It's Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and then the guy that we just mentioned,
I put Cory
O'Connor.
Booker in that lane, too.
Well,
he seems way to the left.
He wasn't. Cory Booker is now there because he wants to run in 2020, and he feels the only way to get through the primary process is if you appeal to that very far left-wing voter. My whole thing is, if you want to actually win the general election, is that the right strategy? You look at O'Connor, as we were talking about, this 31-year-old in that 12th district in Ohio. His strategy was running more to the middle.
Yeah.
There is this big middle in this country that often gets missed. And Democrats, if they run all the way to the left, good luck winning a national election.
But they got to get off that stage. Like Donald Trump got off the stage as #1. They're going to have 20 people going for this. How do you get off that stage? By saying maybe the most different, radical thing possible.
Well, we're going to talk more about politics with Pete Hegseth in the next segment. In the meantime, we want to tell you what a management professor at Notre Dame, a fellow by the name of Joseph Holt, wrote. He did an op-ed and he said this: we thank soldiers for their service because they devote themselves to protecting our freedoms, and we should, but we should also thank the media for the same reason, especially when the stakes have never been higher.
Yeah, so that is causing a lot of people to scratch their heads this morning. Look, there are a lot of folks in the media and journalists that are out there, and it's not always safe, and they're doing a very important job for this country. But when you compare the two, I spoke earlier this morning, I've got 2 brothers that are in the Navy that are serving. If I were to sit down at the dinner table and say that my job is the same as yours, I can never imagine even doing that. They would be respectful about it and say, well, your job is an important one, but But I know firsthand that what they do every day, fighting for this country, fighting for our freedoms, allow us to do our job, allow us to sit on this couch every morning. So we had Dave Brooks on the show last hour. He was a former Marine vet, and also he's now at the Daily Caller. So he's worn both shoes in his life. And here's what he said about that comparison.
The professor wasn't even talking about journalists who do put themselves in harm's way. He was talking about White House reporters who go to the press briefings, and instead of asking questions, they pull out a soapbox and deliver sermons until Sarah Sanders shuts them down. And then they head to Twitter like it's their personal diaries and make the stories about themselves. And after that, they want to go to the Trump rallies, and when they get heckled by the president's supporters, they act like they're marching into the Battle of Fallujah. And to compare the two does a disservice to our service members and those men and women who signed up to protect the nation.
Okay, so what do you think? Email us, friends@foxnews.com, and also Facebook and tweet us, because we read it all day long.
Yeah, and by the way, there's no byline on the battlefield, right? You don't know the names oftentimes of these men and women who are out there serving this great country.
They're out
It's
there.
not about them ever.
Right, but I know Jillian's name. Jillian.
Good morning.
That was a really
Brian,
good toss.
how are you?
Good.
All right, so we're continuing to follow the story of Molly Tibbetts, so let's get you caught up on that. And it has been exactly 3 weeks since Molly Tibbetts vanished in Iowa. A friend posting this video from the day before she disappeared, showing the 20-year-old laughing and smiling. Molly's aunt also sharing a video from 2016 when she spoke at a faith event.
Got down and I prayed and I asked God to give me the strength to make it through it, to tell me what to do, to help me out with whatever happened, and to know what his plan was. In that moment, I kind of knew that that was God's way of showing me that the power of prayer was really something.
The reward for information leading to Molly is over $300,000. Big moves happening today to bring home an American pastor held in Turkey. Fox News confirms a Turkish delegation is meeting with State Department officials in Washington to discuss ongoing tensions, including sanctions, punishing Turkey for holding Pastor Andrew Brunson. He's accused of supporting an attempted coup in Turkey in 2016. Brunson denies the accusations. Well, tension in the Paul Manafort trial is rising. A prosecutor reportedly so frustrated with the judge that he teared up. Star witness Rick Gates will be back on the stand today. During cross-examination, he acknowledged having an affair. He already admitted to embezzling money from Manafort, his former business partner. Manafort faces charges of tax and bank fraud. He's pleaded not guilty. And this hilarious first day of school picture now going viral. Take a look. That is Sergeant Nathan Kendrick with a Spider-Man lunchbox and a pretty embarrassed look on his face. Maybe it's just shy, though. The Shelby County Sheriff's Office in Alabama sharing the photo on Kendrick's first day on the job as a school resource officer. Isn't that great?
Aww.
That is great. So that's a Spider-Man lunchbox with just some writing on it.
Yes,
Are they still making thermoses with glass insides?
I don't
Yes,
know.
I bought one yesterday
Are
for
they?
my daughter.
I have one with metal
I bought one
inside.
yesterday for my daughter. I was so
Really?
excited with the little straw.
Yeah, but now you got to worry that they're going to smash it and they're going to be drinking glass.
I think it's some other
Who
polymer.
worries
I don't
about
think
that?
It's still glass.
Did that never happen to you?
Well, they always tell you, be easy with your
Don't drop
lunchbox because you have a glass thermos.
Brian, we can't live in a what-if world, okay?
Okay, sorry.
All right, coming up on the show, Tony Dungy just told us that he is taking a stand for the flag, and one Florida restaurant is also taking a stand of their own. They are joining us live next.
Plus, what does Pete Hegseth think of the results from the primary and special elections last night? Come on up, Pete. You're next on Fox and Friends.
Are we going to ask him on the
my
show?
weekend
Morning to
co-host.
you. How are you? What's up? Well, time for the post-game show. It was a big night last night in politics with 5 states holding primaries or special elections out in Ohio. So what were the big takeaways? Pete Hegseth, the co-host of Fox and Friends Weekends and a senior political analyst, joins us live right now.
Good morning.
Didn't realize you were a senior political analyst.
Throwing it out there. Why not?
All right. So let's start in Ohio.
Yes.
Right now, too close to call, although the Republican is leading by about an inch.
1,700 vote margin. Right now, you've got over 3,000 provisional ballots still outstanding, 5,000 outstanding absentee ballots. The questions are who that cuts for. There was a lot of early energy on early voting, so some hope on the Danny O'Connor side. But history shows that if you've got a 1,700-point lead with 100% of the votes in, usually that holds. And while it was it was a victory for Balderson, moral victories are thin for Democrats. Democrats are trying to claim a moral victory here. Ultimately, what matters is who wins. They're pointing to Conor Lamb and saying that's an example of the type of candidate that wins in Pennsylvania. Conor Lamb had an even greater upset. It was an R+21 district. This is R+14.
But Pete, remember,
they still held the
Conor
line.
Lamb ran as a Republican, even though he was a Democrat, and that's why he won.
As did Danny O'Connor to a certain degree. Delaware County, the exurbs came in strong for Balderson.
All right, lightning round. Out in my home state of Kansas right now, Chris Kobach, the Secretary of State, is leading by just a little bit. Now, what's extraordinary is he was trailing until the president endorsed him.
That's right. 500 votes separates him right now. They're waiting for Johnson County, which is the most populous county, a very Republican county. A lot of independents there. They have new voting machines in Johnson County. They're waiting for the votes to come in. They're supposed to come in a few minutes. We were hoping to have them for this segment.
Okay.
They should come soon. Kobach hoping to squeak it out.
Okay. Meanwhile, for Senate in the great state of Michigan, Kid Rock-backed Iraq War vet John James, he won. The president also endorsed him. That is the final right there. He beat Mr. Pensler handily.
That's right. Big win for John James. President big behind him. He was part of a crowded field, separated himself with a great resume and running a great campaign. Debbie Stabenow, who'll run again in November, won that seat in 2012 by 20 points.
Right.
So she has been a popular representative there, but Trump won narrowly, as you remember. So there's hope that this could be a pickup. Real Clear Politics still says it's a likely Dem seat. We'll see.
Meanwhile, over the last month or so, since she won the 4th District here in New York State, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, thank you very much. She's been the darling, been on a lot of television shows, the darling of the political left. It doesn't look like she had a very good night.
She hit the Midwest wall, is what I'd like to say. She was loss, and loss. Her
one is still too close to call.
Well, one is still close to call, but she lost by 20 points in the governor's race for who she supported. 18 points. Her other candidate lost was 4th out of 5 in the primary, and in Missouri lost by 20 points. So it turns out socialism doesn't sell very well. Bad night for Cortez, just 6 weeks after becoming the darling of the Democrats.
So you're saying bad night for socialism?
Bad night for socialism. The Midwest came through for us, Steve.
There you go.
Big time.
All right. Pete Hegseth,
appreciate it.
Senior political analyst. Job well done. All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, a teenager gets kicked out of class just for wearing an NRA T-shirt. And this morning, her family firing back. Plus, the NFL is off the menu at one Florida restaurant. The owners are taking a stand for the flag, and they will join us live next.
Welcome back. It is a manufacturing milestone. Today, Ford is celebrating their production of its 10 millionth Mustang made right here in the USA. This is a leaked photo we are getting in of what is believed to be that historic car being assembled at a Ford plant in Michigan. And of course, that is where we find Fox Business Network's Gary Gastilew. Gary, give us all the details.
Abby, we're going to see that car up close a little later today. 10 millionth Ford Mustang. Line them up. They'll go all the way around the world, or they'll fill a parking lot outside of Ford headquarters, as they've done here today. Right here, I've got the very first Ford Mustang that was ever sold. And Gail Wise, she's the one who bought it on April 15th, 1964, 2 days before it was even supposed to go on sale. You've kept it ever since. Back then, did you think the car and you would be a celebrity 54 years later?
No, I didn't. I'm very surprised and very happy that this happened, yes.
Haven't sold it yet? You ever think you will?
No, not yet.
Abby, Mustang fans, they're really loyal. And I've got another one over here I know is not interested in selling his car. Sean Kiernan, he owns the very car that was used in the Steve McQueen film Bullet. His family's owned this since the 1970s. No one even knew it existed until a couple of months ago when they brought it to the Detroit Auto Show. This car's worth millions of dollars, but it's worth more to you than that, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Part of the family. Used to be a family car. Now she's just, part of the family. So, world tour. It's been amazing. To be back home is pretty awesome.
It's an American icon. That 10 millionth is going to be coming off the line later today, but you're not going to be able to buy it. Ford's going to hang on to it for a while and then figure out what to do to it. Maybe put it in a museum or send it to the auction block, where I think you'll probably pay a pretty big premium if you do want to pick it up.
That is right. One of America's best. Gary, thank you so much. It is a big day today for Mustangs. All right, Brian, take it away. You used to own a Mustang.
Yeah, I had a '69 Mustang. It was faster than the Tesla-made rocket. Meanwhile, some football players still kneeling for the national anthem. Earlier, we talked to a former NFL coach, Super Bowl winning coach Tony Dungy, and he told us exactly how he feels about that.
I would stand because I personally think that's the way to go, but I know my dad was in the service. He was in the military. That's why he fought. That's why he enlisted in World War II, to give us the choice, the freedom of choice to do what we think is best.
He also went on to say I'd give 10 minutes of my press conference every day, the coach's press conference, for the players to go up and speak about what's wrong with society. Let's switch gears and keep on the same topic. A Florida eatery feeling the same way as Coach Dungy, taking a stand for the flag by canceling their NFL TV package, offering veterans a discount of 40% on Sunday's games instead. Curtis and Janet West are the owners of that restaurant, Beef O'Grady's in Brooksville, Florida, and they join us now. Now, I understand the NFL package costs $5,000. If there's a local game on, you'll put the game on. But why are you going to cancel this package? If you want to start, Janet.
Well, we just felt like this year we didn't want the protesting is being done, and we just decided we would rather put our money towards our veterans, which we have many in the area, and that's just the way we decided to go.
And Curtis, it's been a couple of years now. This will be the third year since Colin Kaepernick didn't play last year, the year before he took a knee. So why now?
Well, last year is when it really ramped up, and after week one, and we saw that it was going to continue, we tried to cancel our subscription last year, and they didn't allow us to. So we went forward with it last year, but decided that if they didn't change their stance, if the NFL didn't make a difference in the way everything was being handled, that this year we would do what we're doing.
So Curtis, you were hopeful in May when they said, okay, everyone's going to stand. If you're not going to stand, go to the locker room. But you're not, as being that they haven't made a stance, you're out.
Well, hopeful. But you know what? I don't believe what the ultimatum that they gave the players was necessarily the right way. I think they ought to give the players a platform to bring their issues out, but it doesn't need to be during the national anthem.
What are what's been some of your customers' reaction, Janet?
We had calls from all across the country thanking us. We had a lot of local ones that said they were thanking us, saying they would be in every Sunday and throughout the week. It's been 99% positive, and it's been very touching, actually, that they're calling to thank us when we're just trying to respect and thank them for what they do and allow us to live in the greatest country on earth.
All right, 40% off food Sundays for those in the military. Now, on the counter argument, what about social injustice in this country? They say the complaint is that law enforcement unjustly applies the law to minorities in our country, and that's why they're taking a knee or taking a seat. What's your reaction to that?
Well, like I said, I believe they have a valid point. I just feel personally that they're doing it at the wrong time, and I believe it's the NFL leadership that needs to get with the Player Association and come up with an appropriate time for them to bring their message forward. They need to bring that message forward. We need to make advances in this country every way we can. And if they would do that and come up to an agreement, maybe give them some airtime. Give them some advertisement time for each game, 5 minutes each game, and they could fit in their spots to put their issues out there, and that would be great.
But meantime, Beef O'Grady's in Brooksville, Florida, will not be showing the games unless it's local and free. Curtis and Janet, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, straight ahead. How did President Trump come to power? Rosie O'Donnell knows.
I think largely because of The Celebrity Apprentice. I blame Mark Burnett for creating a false narrative around this man. Nobody treated him with respect or dignity until this show came on.
Finally, put the blame where it belongs with the reality show creator. More insults from Rosie O'Donnell, Rosie the Resistor, next. And the number is startling. Hundreds of thousands of foreigners overstaying their welcome in America. Mark Stein is a foreigner himself from a place called Canada. Did I say that right? He's here to react.
Yeah, he's going to do something here with a garbage can, and he put the garbage can behind
This is your shot of the morning. This is what happens in minor league baseball, Steve.
Brian Metzger didn't like a call, so he went into the dugout, got a garbage can, and said, you know what? The ump is a garbage can.
But it turns out, after his one-game suspension for those antics, he had to do a PSA on the importance of keeping the stadium clean. Yeah, the stadium clean. There it is. There's his PSA.
Can we do that in real life if we don't like someone?
All right. Meanwhile, joining us right now live, we've got Mark Stein, author and columnist and radio guy as well.
So let's go over that game.
Yeah.
First off, do you feel as though he made the right move?
I preferred the one with the poutine that you had. What was it, Monday morning you had the poutine drop?
Tried to catch the ball in the big vat of chili cheese fries.
And all the poutine went there. And I'm with Janice, as a lady from Ottawa will know this, as I'm in favor of Canadians coming and spreading poutine all over American football.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, let's talk about people coming to the United States. According to a brand new statistic by the Department of Homeland Security, more than 600,000 foreign nationals overstayed their visa last year. 40% of them, of the 11 million in the country, illegally overstayed. And the top overstayers, Mark Stein, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, the United Kingdom, and then you've got Colombia.
Why don't you people take it seriously?
Well, there's no reason to. And what's interesting to me is that if you look at the visa applications of the 9/11 guys, when they all came out after 9/11
and overstayed,
they had address in the United States, and it said Holiday Inn, America. I remember listening to a radio station in London, just tootling along, and somebody was asked about the difficulty of getting into America, and the guy says on the radio, just put a mid-market hotel chain. Just put Holiday Inn, Comfort Inn, everyone thinks that's reasonable. The 9/11 guys put that into action a month later. Still nothing has been changed. Americans shuffle shoeless like a craven-cowed people if they want to fly from Chicago to Boston for Thanksgiving.
It's true.
Meanwhile, millions and millions and millions of people around the planet know you can game the system just by ignoring it.
It's a loophole.
Well,
oh, by the way, I agree with Neil from Guyana, who you had on earlier, or British Guyana, as we old school imperialists think of it, because when he was talking about his poor sister, that's what happens if you actually go by the rules.
She could not come into the country because she had cerebral palsy.
Yeah, because you can't come in if you're going to be a drag on the system, if you're going to be a cost on the public purse. Meanwhile, in California, the entire hospital system has been overwhelmed by people who don't do what Neil's parents do, who just say, to hell with the whole system.
In a lot of cases, they go right from the streets to the hospital because they get sick and they're not paying taxes.
No, and basically California emergency rooms are the Mexican healthcare system. It's ridiculous.
And that's why people that come here the right way, some of those folks are the most outraged because they say, we waited in line, we did this the right way, and we came because we wanted to be here. I mean, these numbers highlight why this country is so great. Once people get here, of course they don't want to leave.
No. But it's also this, we're bifurcating into a society where there are people who live by the rules, and they're, as the shoeless thing emphasizes, they're put upon more and more each day. And then there are people who just ignore the rules. In New Jersey, a year or two back, there was a World War II veteran with his wife visiting family here. And the wife gets sick and goes into a New Jersey hospital, and they've been married for 70 years, so he stays with her, and she dies in the hospital. He's a Royal Air Force veteran. He flies back. He's told he can never visit his family in America again because he overstayed his visa by 1 day. If you follow the rules, your life is wrecked. Millions ignore them with impunity.
Canada's feeling the pressure because we're cracking down better on our border. You guys are having people stream to the Canadian border.
Yeah, which again is this Justin Trudeau, the week of President Trump's inauguration, when he introduced the so-called Muslim so-called travel ban. He did this virtue signaling saying, we welcome everyone. The planet took Justin up at his word and have overwhelmed. They've got the Montreal Olympic system, where, Caitlyn Jenner became the first woman to win the decathlon in 1976 or whatever it was. And
Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, Bruce Jenner back then.
Yeah, he was a man.
Yeah, and he won the decathlon. That Olympic stadium is now basically a refugee centre for refugees who've overwhelmed the system.
Created in 1976.
Yeah.
And real quick, you're going to be hosting Tucker tonight.
Yeah.
And you have an option to use the video that you seem to like so much. This is the video you referred to earlier.
Okay, the poutine one.
Yes, this is a contest in the minor leagues.
Oh, yeah.
What do you like so much about it? Is it that he was so far away, or that he spills food, or that he just takes a hit?
No, well, as an unassimilated foreigner, I find it much easier to play American sports, not on grass, not on artificial turf, but actually on poutine. And I feel it gives you a much better grip on your shoes. But that's why we come here, to do the jobs that Americans won't do, like guest hosting for Tucker. You
cannot get an American to do that job.
They won't do that.
They got plans.
It's like seasonal agricultural labor and guest hosting for Tucker Carlson.
How do you prepare to host for Tucker? Brian knows, I guess.
Well, it's holding the quizzical expression for 58 minutes. It's like when you're interviewing that. I had no idea with that. It's like you guys have different camera angles.
Sure.
They just hold on Tucker with the quizzical expression.
There is no cutaway on the Tucker Carlson show.
No, and he can do that. He's like if you've ever seen his one-man show on stage, he just walks out on Radio City and holds that expression for an hour and a half.
And it sells out every night.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, good luck, Mark. We will see you tonight at 8 p.m.
Okay.
Let's hope Tucker doesn't see this. This will be the last time you fill it.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank
you, Mark. Over
He's
to
insecure
Jillian.
like that.
You know what you don't have? You don't have Julian Mealy doing news.
No. That's what we need, Julian.
I can do that right now, though. Is that a fair compromise?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. And we are continuing to follow this story out of New Jersey. So let's start with this Fox News alert. A manhunt is underway after 2 officers are shot at a red light.
They were essentially ambushed. A male walked up and began opening fire. Our officers have non-life-threatening injuries, but not for the grace of God, to be quite frank with you, because the amount of rounds that were fired at close range.
A gunman firing as many as 25 rounds at the undercover detectives in an unmarked car in Camden. Incredibly, both officers are expected to survive. Anti-Trump comedian Rosie O'Donnell still cannot understand why President Trump was elected to lead our nation.
Why do you think Americans voted for him?
I think largely because of The Celebrity Apprentice. I blame Mark Burnett for creating a false narrative around this man. Nobody treated him with respect or dignity until this show came on.
The comedian has been feuding with President Trump for years. She led a musical protest at the White House on Monday. High school students kicked out of class for wearing an NRA shirt. One of their mothers says the teacher was way out of line.
I think he's there to teach. I don't think he's there to discuss his personal beliefs.
The 2 sophomores say they were singled out and given a lecture about why guns are bad by their teacher in California. The school says the shirt did not violate the dress code policy. It's unclear if the teacher will face consequences. And how about this? A woman applying for a new job on her lunch break gets busted. A local news crew in Illinois was reporting on a job fair and put the woman on TV without her realizing it. So once someone told her what happened, she took matters into her own hands, posting a screenshot online and writing, quote, "So I didn't want my current job to know I was looking for another job." Thankfully, her manager hasn't confronted her about it. That's a little awkward.
That's just a little bit.
At least she still has a job, I guess.
True.
Well, for now.
Thanks, Jillian.
All right, let me tell you what's coming up straight ahead. You know what, better yet, let Steve do it.
New York may soon require employees to take bereavement for 3 months, which would deliver a crushing blow to small business owners. Next up, the best states to actually do business in. We're going to give you the list.
Plus, it is Mega Morning Deals here on Fox and Friends. Back to school edition. Backpacks, lunch boxes, and supplies for 60% off or more. You don't want to miss this.
She was an American girl.
We are back with this 3 months paid bereavement leave. That could soon be required in New York if the governor signs the bill that was just sent to his desk. But critics, they say that this will drive companies out of the state. So we're asking this morning, what are the states in this country fostering a pro-business environment? Here to break it all down, the top states is CEO of StreetShares, Mark Rockefeller. Mark, good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good to be here.
A lot of people are concerned that a bill like that would really hurt businesses, would make it more difficult for them to thrive. So let's highlight places in the country that we can maybe learn from.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first is Texas. Of the top 3 states, we have Texas, we have Utah that you're quite familiar with, and we have Georgia. Beginning here with Texas, you have low startup costs. You have a very talented and educated workforce. There's a term that a recent survey used called engaged employees. This means employees that are into their business, that believe in the mission, that are giving it their best. Texas is great for engaged employees. And then lastly are the tax benefits. Texas does have a receipts tax, which a lot of folks don't like, but there's no corporate tax. And there's actually no income tax for folks in Texas as well.
So this is a mix of what the businesses themselves are prioritizing, but also the priorities of the state and the laws that are put in place.
It is, yes. It's a combination of policy coming down from the state and sort of the culture of the state itself. My company, Street Shares, funds a whole bunch of businesses all across the country. Mm-hmm. We love Texas. It's one of our 3 biggest states. There's a business ethic, there's an ethos in Texas that's a powerful thing.
I hear that from everyone I know that lives in Texas.
Yep.
So my home state of Utah, also on this list. I remember my dad was governor there a few years ago, and the biggest priority for him was making the state attractive for outside businesses to come in. He said, we want them to work and we want to make their lives good.
That's right.
And it seems like it's paid off.
It has. Now, you hear about Silicon Valley on the West Coast. Here in New York, it's Silicon Alley, right? This is the Silicon Slopes here in Utah, right? You've got a couple of great things going on in Utah. One, you have a young, educated workforce. Mm-hmm. Second, you have these tax policies that encourage businesses to grow.
That's always a plus. And so the last one we have, I don't know if we have it on there, but Georgia.
Right?
Georgia. What's so
Georgia comes down to cost. If you think about the cost of say something like office space, right? Here in Manhattan, it's through the roof, right? The average across the boroughs here in New York City, $6 plus per square foot of office space. Downtown Atlanta, $1.74.
Yeah, that's why people are flocking to these states.
Absolutely.
You want to be where business is thriving, because that means usually everything else in the state is doing pretty well, too.
That's right.
Mark, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for bringing it all
Thanks
down.
so much.
All right, coming up on the show, up next, it is back to school season, and we are here to help you save on some of your shopping. Mega Morning Deals, that is up next. But first, let's check in with Bill Hemmer for what is coming up at the top of the hour. Busy morning, I know, for you, Bill.
Nice to see you, Abby. Good morning to you. There's a lot to go through after the results from last night, what they say about where we might be headed now in the Trump era. That wasn't cool, was it? Also, big news in the Manafort trial. We'll tell you what's happening there. Iran with a strong reaction to President Trump. Come join our headliner, Senator Joe Lieberman. There we go. And meet America's A-Team. We'll see you in 10 minutes, guys, 9 to noon.
All right, just in time to send the kids back to school, we have got some exclusive savings on school supplies just for Fox and Friends
Where
viewers.
do we have them? Right here with Megan Meany, the host of Mega Morning Deals. Good morning to you.
Hi, guys.
Where do we start?
Oh, we start right here, and I want you to demo this for me. This is called the Yogi Bow. So instead of beanbag chairs, these are like ergonomically correct. When you're working at your desk, those students late night studying, you can get some core strength. It won't slip away because it's got a secret base. Oh, except that you're not looking too stable there, mister.
It's good for your lower back.
Whoa!
Wow.
He needs a little practice, okay?
There goes your endorsement contract.
Those are $44 today, guys. That's 51% off. This one, maybe this would be better for you.
It's all about my Common
Comfort
Core.
Lounger. You can put this behind your back when you're sitting on your bed studying. So
Ryan, would you do better than
college
Steve?
dorm rooms will look
Probably
very cool with that. Okay, these are packets. You freeze it and then you pack it. I pack my own kids' lunches in these, and isn't that fun? So today you get a set of 3. The walls freeze. You just put them in the freezer. In the morning you pack their lunches. A lot of kids need, by the way, a snack and a lunch. Don't we love that?
Right.
So you have to give them 2. So today you get a pack of 3. There's a bigger one for maybe a picnic. $29 today, 67% off. Love these.
$10 each.
Animal prints are in.
I use them myself. Animal prints are in. Okay. Moving on to fitness trackers for kids. These are great for kids because they have the comfort band. They're really easy to put on.
These are cute,
They're
too.
comfy. They can download the app for free. It'll keep track of the steps they're taking. It'll give them a little alarm if they haven't moved lately. They're getting a little lazy. It'll also tell them if they slept well, and they can set goals with their friends on the app. The app is free. It's $22.
Wow.
56% off today. Mega Morning Deals. You know to look for the icon on the Fox and Friends website.
Brian just said you can track your kids. You can't track your kids.
Can you track your kids?
No, you can't track your kids on these. These are not. No.
You can on your cell phone, though.
You
Okay. We should just keep an eye on it.
Fitness, activity, my
Just
friend.
keep an eye on it.
You can track
For your little preschooler who doesn't love Star Wars, this is Chewbacca. And we have all our favorite characters. We have Yogi, or what is his name? Yoda.
Yoda.
And there's a
Darth
little
Vader.
zipper on the back. You can't carry too much, but
That's a
preschoolers, what do they
backpack?
really need to take to school? Yeah, it's a backpack.
You're gonna be the most
It's got a little
stylish.
zipper compartment. That's $12, and then we have, so that's 66% off, a great deal, and a leather iPad case, real leather, you guys, all sizes, mini iPads, large iPads. We've got these fun prints, the map, the American flag, $66.99 today. That is 69% off.
Does that just work for iPads, or does it also work with all tablets?
Yeah, you can put your non-iPad tablet in there, absolutely.
Right. Your knockoff Chinese
What do you think? Did we
tablet?
cover it?
No, like the Amazon Fire.
Oh, okay.
Who can do their best Chewbacca imitation? Ooh, come on.
I don't. I've never watched a Star
There
Wars.
you go.
Clayton Morris, who used to do the
Okay.
Weekend Show, did a great Chewbacca.
Okay,
Yeah, wherever he
okay,
is.
Chewie.
He's in the
Okay.
new movie.
Segment's almost over.
All
Great
right.
deals, you guys. Hurry up.
That's right.
Back to school's coming.
If you would like more information, go to our website, foxandfriends.com. Look for the Mega Morning logo. Click on that, and we'll take you to
Megan,
save a
thank you.
bunch
Is
of
this how
dough.
you wear backpacks now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
This
All
is
right,
the trend.
back in a
out.
moment to wrap
It's
things
trend.
up.
Need to get
It's
in there.
trend. Get with the program.
Steve, work on that core, buddy.